typically that's mainly all you need to pass CCNA, but we'll get to that. For now, let's go ahead and jump into the presentation. All right, folks. Well, today restarts and begins the CCNA journey. All right, for most of you guys and for people that's already been here, we're just restarting, reviewing, and again, guys, the Slack is an open book. So if you guys are reading on your own and you guys get stuck on a certain topic, dude, just drop it in there. Dre, Dre, a whole bunch of other members is more than open to go ahead and answer your questions. Okay. So the CCNA, right? Why is it important to know the OSI model? The OSI model is very important for the CCNA, and we're going to go over why, right? Right. But before we touch on that, right, because that's the fun part, we're going to get to the lab. Why the CCNA? Right. A couple of things I found, and others have found. You get recognition when you have your CCNA. You're more respected. You get priority for projects that involve network engineering or security because you've been accredited by organizations saying routing and switching. A lot of people, of course, they got their CCNA. They get a boost in their career, right? And globally, you're respected. You can go to China. You can go to India in the networking field, and they see you have your CCNA. You are respected. So how do you get it? What's the game plan, right? Let me share a couple of things that I've done to get my CCNA. And somebody made a good point to me yesterday that I never shared how I got my CCNA, my CCNP, and now and some other certifications. So of course I laugh. You guys see that, but it's a bit more detailed. And I think the biggest thing for me was a study schedule. I found, if I think back now, my first probably 15 to 20 days trying to study for the CCNA back in the day, whenever it was a CCENT or what have you, I was unorganized. I was just reading a book. It was like I was, reading a textbook from front to back, which is, sometimes that's not the way to do so. So Neil Anderson's course on Udemy really helped out. Of course, he had packet tracer labs, but I went ahead and luckily my mentor told me to limit myself to only 15 to 30 minutes a day, 45 days out of the week. And even Neil Anderson says that because you don't want to get burnt out. You don't want to get tired. You want to make sure that it's fun, right? You go through one of his quick presentations, you jump in the lab for about 15 minutes, and that's 30 minutes right there. Of course, I read the OCG guide, volume 1 and volume 2. Of course, just like how it's 2 books now, it was 2 books back in the day. So, but I read it front to back twice. Neil Anderson, he doesn't go in order. Hey, Daniel, yeah. Let's save the questions for after the presentation, if you don't mind. Thanks, buddy. But yeah, I read it front to back twice. Did some practice lab as well, both in an OCG, to the point to where during my CCNA, I started, because of course I was working as well. I end up just making my own labs instead of, letting everybody else make labs for me. So it's pretty fun. And again, these sessions are to enable you guys to start making your own labs for yourself. And of course, even back in the day, I was part of a small group before Slack and Discord and all these other things were in place, part of a small study group where it was okay to have open dialogue and it was okay to not know something within the group, ask questions to get clarity, and also real equipment. That's really optional, but you really don't need it. You can really do it with just packet tracer, honestly, folks. So why the OSI model, right? Told you guys going to come back to that. The biggest thing is encapsulation and de-encapsulation. And it really has to do with traffic flow, right? And the biggest thing is that, network engineers, we typically stay at the lower layers, right? But of course, with the way the world is now, it's not so much we're just layer 1 through layer 3, right? Our responsibilities are growing. We're not just doing, network engineering. We're doing security. We're doing, application delivery. We're doing a lot of things. So we have to know you have to know layers 1 through 3, but of course 4, 5, 6, and 7 are just as important to know, right? But through the CCNA journey, right, and for the CCNA, we're going to worry about layers 1 through layers 4, so we can pass the exam, right? As you can see on this slide, right, you see layers 1, layers 2, layers 3, and layers 4. I want you guys to remember that. Take a quick look, really take a screenshot if you need to. I want you guys to remember what devices, what functions, right? I know you guys heard me and Dre talk about functions and operations before we started the recording, but see what functions like routing and switching, which layer does what. I want you guys to remember that, okay? All right, and then we're gonna jump in and we're gonna start having fun, all right? So I'm gonna bring you guys to the matrix. Any questions so far? Wasn't gonna be a long presentation. Hey, Daniel, go ahead.
Now, you said you mentioned that you read the OCG books. Did you mean Window Odom?
Yes.
Okay, now have you read any of Todd Lamley's material?
Say it again.
Have you read Todd Lamley's books?
You said Todd Lamley's?
Yes, Todd Lamley.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Yeah, he's another good resource to check out his books as well, because he explains it in a different, like, down to earth, if you're on the job type of deal.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So guys, yeah, really mark that down. That is a good resource. Definitely. Definitely. All right. So folks, we're going to jump into this lab, right? We're going to, and again, I'm not going to pre-configure it. We're going to configure it, just as the diagram that I showed you guys. Okay. So it's going to take some time, but I want to show you guys and give you guys a glimpse of how you guys would set up your labs. Okay. So based on the diagram I gave you guys, right? Our first subnet is over here, right? It's a 192.168.0.0/24. We're going to go ahead and set that up. And mainly all we need to do here is for the router, we're going to go ahead and set up the network on the interface pointing towards lab PC. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. And guys, while I'm doing this, please, if you have questions, feel free to ask it. All right, let's go ahead. Oops. Try that again.
What's going on, everybody?
What's up, man? So, Brian, what we're doing now, we're setting up our lab. And again, we're just going through the exercise of how to set
It's
up
like path of the
simple
pack.
topology, what have you. Oh,
You know.
remember?
Yeah,
My
just a
man.
little bit.
So you said you're going to answer some questions today. Is that what you're saying?
God, that was quite funny. I did not say that at all. What's going on, everybody else? What's going on, Crystal, Dre, Christian?
No, all good, folks.
What's up, Claude?
This session is not a gulag or anything like that, folks. I'm just going to go through path of a packet from my perspective and to help you guys with your CCNA.
Okay.
So no need to answer questions or anything. Yeah, you guys are all good.
Don't let him bully y'all either.
I know, right?
Please don't. I'm not going to bully you guys tonight. But yeah, guys, any questions, please feel free to stop me or what have you. Okay. Let's finish setting up the topology. And guys, if you do have the diagram, feel free to help me out here as far as which networks are which, so I can go ahead and set those up. Okay. There we go. 1.0. Cool. I'm gonna give that. There you go. One dot oh. There we go. Okay. All right. Let's hop in this switch. Let's shut this down. Let's start it back. Private mode. There we go. There we go.
Mic check, mic check.
Hey, what's up, brother?
What's going on?
Hey, man. So, like you read earlier, we are going through the path of the packet.
Nice.
And
nice.
again, we're gonna take it slow today. Not gonna grill anybody. Nobody's gonna be put on the spot. So y'all good.
We gonna
Y'all
take
good.
it nice and slow. Okay.
But if you guys definitely want to chime in, more than happy to do so. Give you guys a break tonight.
Nice.
All right.
I mean, Brian got the you know how you get your picture frames?
Uh-huh.
He's on.
Leave that man alone. So folks, here's what I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna start off with router 6, right? And we should only need to just configure for this lab router 6 and router 7. Okay, I'm gonna configure the lab server too. And once we do that, we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and explain you what the lab is intended to do. And we're gonna look at packet captures. And we're gonna look at compare it to the OSI model and see why it's important to know each and every step and how each device, like the switch and the router, how the OSI model compares to, the device and why the function is so important to know what each layer does, if that makes sense, okay? Cool. Let's go ahead.
Okay, so I kind of jumped in.
No, feel free. Go ahead.
So right now we are configuring our devices, or
Mm-hmm.
okay. Cool.
Yep. So we're configuring our routers. Yeah, configuring our routers so we can go ahead and start the lab. And while I'm configuring, if I go ahead and give you guys a backstory too, right? If you guys are familiar with the Path of Packet lab, please don't spoil it for anybody. But and you guys can start writing this down so you guys can follow it. So, right, we have a network, right? We have a local area network to the left. That's a 192.168.0.0, right? And so we need the lab PC, right? Or any PC on the 192.168 network to get an IP address, right? It can't get an IP address locally because the server sits 2 networks away, okay? So we need to go ahead and see how that request from the lab PC gets all the way to the server, right? And we're going to analyze this request and look at it from each layer, how it passes through, et cetera, right? We're not going to go in depth with spanning tree or anything like that, right? We're going to take a look at IP addresses. We're going to take a look at the MAC address table. We're going to take a look at a lot of the things that you guys are seeing on your CCNA, the first 3 or 4 chapters. Okay? Because I want to make that make sense first.
Okay.
Any questions, folks?
Cool.
Nothing. I just want to tell Twan we're gonna revisit that last comment he made later on.
Y'all are goofy. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and configure my router. And guys, feel free to steal this lab. You guys can use it in Packet Trace or Eve your own, or if you have a physical lab at home, feel free to steal this, please. All right. And guys, if you have questions on what I'm typing in, what I'm configuring, please ask the question. It's okay.
I do have one question. Will you eventually cover net flow?
That's not covered on the CCNA.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
It's in the book.
It's in the book?
Yep.
Okay. So if it's in the book, then we'll cover it.
What's going on, Claude?
Thanks for pointing that out, man.
Is it part of the objectives though?
Joe, what up, Twan?
Hey, Claude, what's going on, baby?
Nothing much.
I'm appalled, Claude. That was Brian. See? Been too long, man.
What up, Brian?
But yeah, Daniel, thanks for pointing that out. We'll go ahead and put that on the schedule.
Yeah,
Thank
Dave,
you.
when you ready, you and I can get together. I actually got a BGP lab that actually I got NetFlow tied up into it,
My man.
I'm utilizing the with the Top Talker protocol and caching like on the ingress the IPs that's coming through so that you can actually capture that stream going to a destination and you can actually see
My man.
which IPs are hitting that interface as far as the source and its destination that is going to. So when you and I get together, I'll show you that lab with NetFlow and then you can disperse
We'll go over
it.
that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Oh, I'm going to make that your presentation, by the way. So I don't know why you tried to throw it off of me. You think you slick. Not slick today. Sorry. So folks, I configured my first router, right? Configured my first router. I went ahead and configured my IP addresses. I made sure I went ahead and turned the interfaces up, right? When you guys start doing your labs or packet trace or what have you, you'll come to find out that you manually have to, turn on your interfaces, right? Or what they call putting the command no shutdown. What this does is actively turns on the port, right? It's a security feature that they created back in the 90s, back even before I was born. Anything that's doing any layer 3, they want the administrator to go ahead and manually cut on these ports on either a firewall or a load balancer or a router. Okay, so just keep that in mind. I'm not sure where you guys are at in your studies, and just to compare, right? For switches, you don't have to go ahead and turn on a port. You can go ahead and get a switch, plug, put power on. All the switches are up and running. All the switch ports are good to go. Okay. Go ahead. Oh, and Chris, thank you for dropping that. I think that'll help people. Thanks for dropping those pictures. I think that's
It'll
helpful.
help.
If you guys take a look at the Slack, you go ahead and see that. There you go. So yeah, guys, the main purpose, right, again, is to see this traffic flow, right? Encapsulation and de-encapsulation, like I said before, right? It's similar to sending a letter to somebody, right? Let's say I was before cell phones. I'm trying to go ahead and send a letter to Brian to let him know that his breath stinks, right? So I got to make sure I address it, right, to Brian's house, right? Brian, your breath doesn't stink. That's just an example. Maybe. Right? But I need to have the proper addressing, right? I need to have, his street address. We can call that the MAC address. I need to have his name. That can be his IP address. I need all these things. So, the letter can get from the source, which is myself, to the destination, right? And that's how you want to look at, that's how you want to go ahead and look at network engineering, right? And this is most of the stuff that you're going to conceptualize and all the theories within your CCNA, right? There's going to be a lot of stuff thrown at you, but I'm telling you, over time, all of it's going to make sense. Router 7. Router 4.1.2. Oops. Okay. Let's put our routes in there. There we go. There we go. Perfect. All right, let's check connectivity. There we go. All right. Boom. Okay. What do we call that? 15? Perfect. While this is happening, folks, I'm going to go ahead and start the packet captures and capture them on all each layer 3 interface and capture it here. So we're going to capture that with the packets coming in from lab PC going into the lab router. So I want you guys to see that traffic coming in from there. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right, let's make sure we're capturing those packets. Cool. Let's move that to another window. Perfect. All right. Cool. All right. I'm done. See how we looking. Let's get Wireshark up. Perfect. All right. Go ahead and capture right here too. All right, perfect. So we're capturing all our traffic. We see traffic coming through. Now, let's go ahead and start processing this traffic, right? So, like I told you guys before, I want the lab PC to go ahead and get an IP address, right? So typically here's how the traffic flow is gonna go, right? From the lab PC, it's gonna go ahead and do a DHCP discover, right? That's a broadcast message. It's gonna send a broadcast on the network. It's basically yelling right within a room, right? Saying, who's my DHCP server, right? It's gonna do that broadcast at layer 2 and layer 3, okay? So we're gonna take a look at how that packet looks, right? We're gonna take a look at whenever that packet leaves this network and tries to get to that server, right? We're gonna look at each hop and how it looks, all right? So we're gonna look at that capture on gigabit 0/1, on router 6, gigabit 0/0, and gigabit 0/1 on the lab server, okay? And we're also going to take a look at the switch, right? So this is the first thing we're going to look. We're going to go ahead and confirm a few things. So let's go ahead and start having some fun. So let's open up our computer. Cool. All right. And let's see this in live action. There we go. All right. All right. So let's go ahead and force this computer to try to get an IP address. So we're going to do the Linux command, DH client. Okay. Of course, you guys see those DHCP discovers. We're not getting any replies. Let's see if we see it all throughout. Probably have to switch this down. Let's reboot this real quick. For the sake of troubleshooting, folks, I'm gonna reboot all these switches. Cool. Right, there we go. We still see those discoveries popping through. All right. And so while that's happening, let's go ahead and take a look at the switch, right? And I want to go ahead and we're going to first take a look at layer 2. All right. So, oops, for that to happen. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the switch. There we go. There we go. All right. Let's take a look. So, right, the first thing, the OSI model, we're going to go ahead and go bottom up, right? The first layer is layer 1, right? It's that physical layer, right? And so that physical layer, that's the cables, that's the, that either can be Wi-Fi, that can be your fiber cables. That's what's transferring that data from its source to its destination, right? And so, of course, what travels in that is ones and zeros, right? It's bits, right? We can't actually see, right, the ones and zeros physically, right? But we can see, right, the values for layer 2 and layer 3. Those would be MAC addresses. Those would be, some of the frames that we capture within Wireshark, right? But even before Wireshark, we're going to go ahead and take a look how switches work and how it learns these MAC addresses, right? So let's go ahead and see what we're going to verify first to see if the MAC address for this PC and the router lives on this switch, right? Because a switch function is to learn MAC addresses, right? That's one of its primary functions. It has 2 more functions too, but its primary function is to learn MAC addresses and switch them, right? Send them to its source, to its destination. That's it, okay? From a layer 2 standpoint. Let's take a look at the MAC address table. Perfect. So I got 2 MAC addresses. Let's see if this PC shows up there, okay? We're going to do an if config, and we're going to do an E0 interface, right? Perfect. All right. So have no IP address, right? But we see the layer 2 address for this device, for this PC, right? It's that MAC address. 5 zeros, and then 0, 0, and then 0, 9, and then 0, 0, right? We see that on this switch, right? We verified that, right? So we know that the switch is working. It's doing its layer 2 function. It's learning that MAC address, right? And so we also see that it has another MAC address. It has a 500, then 006, and then 001, right? It's learning that. And you can see that it's learning off a different interface, right? So it learned the PC off of 0/0, but it also learned another MAC address off of 0/1, right? So let's go ahead and go verify that. Let's go into the router and take a look and see how that looks. See if that interface matches up with what the switch has. So the router's fixed, and let's put them side by side. Okay. So we're going to do a show interface. What is this? Yep, 0/1. Perfect. All right. So I did a show interface gigabit 0/1, right? What's this going to show me? It's going to show me typically some, it's going to show me layer 1, right? It's going to tell me the interface is up, but it's also going to show me layer 2. It may show me some layer 3 things as well, but it's typically going to stop at layer 3, depending on the device, right? So here's what I mean, right? The first thing it's going to pop is layer 1. The interface is up. Gigabit 0/1 is up, right? Next, it's going to show me layer 2. Line protocol is up, right? That's telling me layer 2 is up, right? It's going to tell me the type of interface, but then it's going to tell me what I need to verify layer 2, right? it's going to tell me that MAC address, right? And if we do a side-by-side comparison, we're seeing that, hey, that MAC address matches up, right? So for this interface, the switch is learning both of the interfaces. So we know traffic is flowing, okay? And of course, we can go ahead and take a look at that in our packet capture as well, right? So if we go ahead, right? And guys, you guys can take a note of it, take a screenshot of this. We're going to Wireshark, right? Let's see if we see this address there. There we go. There we go. Ooh, there we go. Look at that. Cool, right? So we see it, right? We see our interface right here. We see it has our source, right? We see that router interface, so that's here. So that's another way we can go ahead and confirm. So we see layer 2 is working fine and dandy, right? But we don't see any layer 3 traffic. We just see layer 2. All right, so let's keep going. Let's keep rolling out. We confirmed layer 2 on this network, right? So now let's go ahead and see if that, if all of our switches are up and running, and let's see if we can have proper traffic flow all the way to the server. Pull this up. Because again, right, if we're talking about the OSI model, let's pull that back up, right? Layer 1, we just need to make sure stuff is connected. Layer 2, it just needs to make sure that stuff is connected and can talk via MAC addresses, right? Via MAC addresses, right? But they don't talk via IP addresses. But before we can talk via IP addresses, we need to be able to talk via MAC addresses, right? Okay, so we confirm layer 2, right? We're going to go ahead and confirm that. And once we confirm layer 2 and the MAC addresses can talk to each other and talk to the correct places, right? We're going to go ahead and go to layer 3, right? This is all this lab is going to stay at. There we go. Okay, switches up. Perfect. Switches up. Last one. Let's check this one. I didn't want that. There we go. Cool. All right, that's good. So now, pull this back up. Let's see what happens. Cool. So now, I have an IP address, okay? So let's dissect this traffic. Let's go ahead and stop these captures. Look at that. Stop it. DHCP. Let's stop that. Let's look at this. Perfect. All right. So we're going to start here, right? So we have our DHCP package, right? We're starting at our source, right? And we're going to start at layer 2, right? So we have our source, which is this PC, right? We confirm that, right? But then our destination is all S, right? And all S signify a broadcast message from a layer 2 standpoint, right? And how a broadcast looks from a layer 3 standpoint, your source and your destination is going to be 0.0.00. And this is just for a DHCP message, by the way, guys. So from a layer 3 standpoint, it won't always be your source is going to be just 0.0.00. Okay. But for this case, right, our source is 0.0.0.0. But our destination address, it reflects the destination, the layer 2 destination address of a broadcast, which all S equals 255.255.255.255. Okay. So from a layer 2 standpoint, like I told you guys, the first part, the PC is going to send, hey, who is my DHCP server, right? And we see it's screaming out. We see all these packets just getting screamed out on the network, and we finally get a reply, right? We finally get a reply from the gateway saying, oh, we have an offer, right? And this is just saying that the traffic came back to us, okay? Let's keep tracking it, right? So we're starting our flow here. It got to the router. What happens when it leaves router 6? Let's go ahead and take a look at that, right? And we're going to take a look at router 7 because I think that's where I captured it, right? And so, again, before we can talk at layer 3, we need to be able to talk at layer 2, right? And so before we can go ahead and send traffic to, yeah, Brian, I got you. I'm adding you in. Before we can go ahead and send traffic via layer 3, we need to go ahead and be able to talk layer 2, right? Now, how does a router know how to do that if it's just a router, right? And it's only meant to do layer 3 functions, right? You guys reading, it's going to go ahead and talk about something that they call an ARP table, right? Address resolution protocol, right? And so it's a function within, layer 3 devices or a router, right? And you'll see ARPs on a firewall. And what it does is it resolves IP addresses to MAC addresses, right? And so let's go ahead and take a look at this ARP table for now. So IP ARP, right? Okay, so we see here, right? And we're looking at router 7, right? We're looking at that same capture, right? Going towards the 172.16.1.0, right? And we see, right, for router 6, we see that MAC address, right? And we see our MAC address as well, okay? Now, if we look at this packet capture from a layer 2 standpoint, we see that here. That first message, that first DHCP discover message that we see traversing the network to get to the destination, we see the source being 50:7:1, right? And so we see that coming from our source, right? And that's coming from, right? That's coming from, router 6, right? And our destination, right? It should be .15, right? It should be .15, right? And that's our server, right? And we have that here, okay? So we verified layer 2 there. Now we can communicate layer 3 because we know where to send it, right? And the router knows where to send it, right? And so it's going to be these switches job to go ahead and get the layer 2 address and to say, hey, we're not going to worry about layer 3. We're going to worry about layer 2 and know where to send it. So that traffic is going to travel all the way. It's going to travel all the way from up here, over there, up these switches to get to its destination, right? And once it gets there, it's going to go all the way back, right? But again, just like we spoke about in this presentation, before we can speak at, the upper layers, we're going to go ahead and we're going to touch on the lower layers. We're going to start at the physical. We're going to start at the data link layer, which is mostly used by switches, and they spoke mostly via switches and MAC addresses. Then we're going to go to the network layer, and we're going to speak IP addresses. Then we're going to go to the transport, and et cetera, right? And if you guys know these fundamentals, everything you look at within networking, if you take it slow, start using the OSI model, starting from the bottom, going on up, everything is going to make sense on your CCNA. There's going to be a lot of topics thrown at you. As long as you know the OSI model and what devices, what functions happen at each layer, The exam is pretty damn easy. Okay? And that's it. That's it, guys. That's all. Any questions?
I'd like to add on, for those of you who feel like the CCNA exam, get yourself familiar with all the shell commands, because they will hammer that in the questions there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, David.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I appreciate you utilizing your time to do this for us. I mean, honestly, because you could have been watching the Justice League, dude. And yeah, I appreciate you, man. Really, really. This stuff
good.
is my life's blood right now. And I have to be a part of it all the time because there are certain tests that I have to pass. My interest is there, and thanks so much. God bless.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
That sounds like Aaron down there.
Hey,
Oh,
it
yeah,
is. You know it. You know it.
That's voodoo. That's voodoo.
What
Claude, what's
up?
going on, bro?
What's going on, man?
So guys, before we jump in and we clear out, you know, for the folks that are studying for the CCNA, Brian, Crystal, Erica, Dre, Daniel, I know you got yours. Nelson, I'm not sure if you studied for your CCNA, and Christian. Guys, any questions, right? Anything that's gray from your studies, from what you're reading? Anything. And if you guys don't have a
just digging
question,
into mine, so.
Okay. Crystal, what about you?
You say Christian or Crystal?
Both. It doesn't matter.
Sweet.
Chris, you all good?
So far I'm good. I'm just trying to manage my time so I can put in study time, lab time.
Gotcha. Okay. Erica, Dre, any questions? You guys good?
Good, yes, sir.
What's going on, Dre?
Perfect.
What up, B?
Yo, now remember, y'all, there's that section, the CCNA questions. If there is anything, I know a lot of y'all were probably used to me, you know, dropping all kinds of crazy stuff in those questions of the day sections. But anybody, if you want to put a question there, by all means, you know, you can drop something up in there. I think a couple of the members just kind of got used to me just giving them brain teasers every couple of days, you know, dropping something in the NA block or dropping something in the MP block. But that section is open to anyone to drop something up in there.
Quick question, Claude. Is it network in general or is it Cisco specific?
Usually it was something geared towards the CCNA or the CCNP.
No, man, you mentioned that if we have any questions, I'm asking, should it be Cisco related or just network in general?
Yeah, you can ask anything, you know, because if it's something that's, let's say, Cisco related, you know, several of us are fire at it. If it's something that may be vendor specific, you know what I mean? There's a couple of us in here that have had hands-on with some other stuff, you know, some Aruba, some maybe some Dell devices or something like that. So yeah, don't shy away from it.
I bet.
Matter of fact, I got a question. I just remembered it. I lost it for like a while. One of the packets that you showed, it had loop on it. Is that in reference to loopback?
We're gonna get there. Not yet. No, you good. So that's a good segue, right? So, guys, right? So this journey, right? This journey that I put here, we're starting the journey today. Okay. So just like you guys, I have value 1 and value 2. This next section that we have is going to go over the first 3 chapters. If you don't have the book, let me know. I'll go ahead and shoot it to you.
It's the hold on. Let me go into my folder. Having a whole bunch of stuff. I gotta go. Okay, so it's the it's the volume 1 and volume 2 book.
Yep. We're gonna start on volume 1, and we're gonna next session that we have, I expect you guys to have the first 3 chapters read, and we're gonna go over it. We're gonna lab it up. People are gonna get thrown in the gulag.
Have your notes and have your questions. You better be ready.
Okay.
That gulag is
right.
no joke.
You know these folks don't be.
But we're gonna change, and we're gonna change it up a bit, guys. You know, we're gonna, again, just like I did, we're gonna have a short review of the theory, right? I'm trying to get you guys used to these, you know, PowerPoints. We're gonna have a short discussion about the theory, then we'll jump into a lab, right? Go over the gulags, maybe have you guys, you know, go ahead and, you know, answer some questions, hop in the CLI, what have you. Okay. So next session, chapters 1 and 3. That's what we'll be reviewing. All right.
Chapters 1 and 3. That is, hold on.
Volume 1.
That's TCP, networking, fundamentals of Ethernet LANs, and fundamentals of WANs and IP routing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm about to dig into this and write a whole bunch of little notes on this.
Cool. So again, guys,
I got
2 weeks,
one question.
so the 28th. Yeah, go ahead, bro.
All right. We're just going for the CCNA. So everybody can go ahead and download Packet Tracer, put this lab together. Now, if we have a question about the lab, do we just need to take a snapshot of what everything looks like? Or how do we need to post that up to show like, hey, here's the issue I'm having with the lab? How should we post that
Chris,
up?
That's a good question. So you guys have the lab, you have the topology, and you have everything that you need, right, to go ahead and configure it. If you're stuck on something, right, go ahead and be very detailed and let us know where you're at in the lab, what you've configured, and what you're stuck at, right? Because again, of course, this is another good segue. This is going to be your first assignment. I want you guys to replicate this, right? Replicate this lab. You guys need to be able to, this lab PC needs to be able to get an IP address from that server 2 networks away.
So, Dave, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
So, I've gotten kind of used to doing stuff on my actual iPad. So I had a question for you. When it comes to, does Packet Tracer, well, so I of course I have my server or whatnot. When it comes to that, should I add Packet Tracer into one of my boxes and work on it from there, like my Windows box? Or is there a way that they have it set up to where you can use like an app or something for Packet Tracer, or is it specific spaces where you can use it? I know with the iOS system, I don't know if that's a way to do that or not, but I know I have access to my server and I can pretty much spin up something inside of there and use it that way. If I want to be remote with it, I guess.
I can answer that question. From what I was told, they do have Packet Tracer for the iPad and iPhones, but it's not very good to use. It's very hard and cumbersome to manipulate.
Okay,
from what I was told.
That.
Awesome. Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, I won't share. Of course, you guys got the recording, but I won't share the configuration. I'll let you guys configure it as such. But yes, if you guys can, go ahead and take a snapshot of this. I think Chris did it for you guys. Replicate this same lab, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to have discussions, and we're going to have this same discussion. And I'm going to randomly call on you guys. We're going to talk layer 2 and layer 3 and how everything works.
Can I just jump in real quick, David?
Yeah.
Real quick, just off, because I know that a lot of us are taking preparing to take the CCNA, and in doing that, I would suggest anybody, you know what I mean, just in case, you know, you come across any questions and you want to do a quick study session or what have you, you could take advantage of the Slack. And there's like a voice function in there. So, you know, just in case y'all want to do like a quick impromptu study session and go over some notes and stuff like that, y'all could take advantage of the voice function, so that way you guys can actually hear each other instead of, you know, typing on the keys and stuff like that. Sometimes, you know, you get some things get lost in translation. So just, you know, just throwing that out there too.
Nice. Amazing. Thank you.
Also, I want to add to that. My Zoom account, my personal Zoom account is always on. So if you guys want to get advantage of it, you can.
Nice.
Ooh.
Amazing. Thank you, guys. Thank you. This is excellent. So guys, again, you guys have your homeworks. Next session, volume 1 and volume 2. We're going to go over this lab, and we're going to go over some of the theories that are covered in volume 1 and volume 2. I'm going to create a whole PowerPoint and we'll discuss it. All right, folks.
All right,
man. Later. You guys have a great night.
You too, man.